Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show where we do not raise our voices,
but improve our argument. This is the Great Debaters Contest Season 9, Central Region, Kiambu County. I am your host, Chris Boro.
And I am Esperantia Kapanga. In today's debate, we will have the motion, capitalism is deterrent to the fight against climate change.
In the proposition, we have the defending champions of Kiambu Region Season 8, Loreto Limuru Girls High School.
And in the opposition, we have Mpesa Foundation Academy. Let's see who takes the day. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Back again, Shane, Anatolia, Yitra. Here to propose the motion that states, capitalism is deterrent to the fight against climate change. Let me begin by saying this. Today in the morning, a writer from New York Times at 9 a.m. stated the following. Climate change will continue, and given its progressive nature, it will worsen. It's capitalism that is at fault. End of quote. If Benjamin Y. Fong from New York Times thinks this, I do not see why I can concur with him. Let us break down this motion. Capitalism, this is where an economic and political system in a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than the state. Deterrent, this is when something discourages or is intended to discourage something else from happening. The fight here is the struggle to overcome, eliminate, or prevent. And what is climate change? This is an alteration in global or regional climate patterns. Now, let me take us back a few years ago on the 27th of April 2015. I don't know if the word Futari Yasumu rings a bell in you. It was an article from Jicho Pevu, whereby a company, an Indian company that is at the coast of our Kenya, just right here, was apparently recycling lead batteries. This was situated, beg your pardon, at a place called Uhuru Owino. And let me break down to you what this lead did to our environment. We had cases of stillbirths. We had cases of miscarriages. We had cases where people's skins were getting some funny skin diseases which you cannot even explain. Dermatologists were shocked. But come on, the most hurting is global warming. This global warming that was caused by this lead actually led into a series of events unfolding. Let me take you through. This lead increases global warming. Global warming means higher temperatures. The higher the temperatures, the quicker this lead evaporates from our soil into the atmosphere, meaning the global warming process is just continuing to get catalyzed day in, day out. The effects of this are dire. Let me quote CNN News as of yesterday when they talked on this. They said, consequences of global warming have moved from the merely theoretical and predicted to observable reality over the past few years. But this has not been matched up by uptick of urgency. Meaning, this is still happening, but you're not having people working actively towards stopping this. Why? Because people still think, yes, we should perpetuate capitalism. Oh, capitalism brings growth. Look at the environment. We cannot have growth without an environment. It is just simple mathematics. Let me conclude by saying this. We are not advocating for overthrowing the system. We just want this system radically changed. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes to make your case.
Point of correction. Yes, the capitalist nations are experiencing global warming, but I want to make you aware that these countries are aware of the global warming, and for them to make profits, they'll have to solve the problems. So, actually, capitalist nations are contributing to discouraging global warming, to discouraging climate change. Capitalism is deterrent to fight climate change. The definition of the terms, capitalism is an economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by for the state. Deterrent, therefore, means a thing that discourages something else from happening. Climate change in its case means a change in global or regional climate patterns, in particular a change apparent from the mid to the late 20th century onwards. According to the CNBC.com, recently, some few months ago, Usain Bolt, a citizen who is a capitalist, just came up with an electric scooter which was all electric and which had zero emission. An example of one of the cars was Hyundai Ioniq EV. Usain Bolt is a capitalist. And then you want to tell me confidently that these capitalists are encouraging climate change, while in his case, he has noted that there is climate change. But what is he doing about it? These cars that he has provided, they have no emissions into the atmosphere. He's actually contributing to that fight against climate change, not contributing to the climate change. Mama once told me to learn from people's mistakes, and seemingly, these guys have refused to do it, because in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, those are the countries that have been practicing socialism, because if you don't support capitalism, then definitely you support communism or socialism. These two countries have been practicing socialism, but do we know what happened to the RLC? These people wanted to benefit everyone, to impress everyone in that nation. What happened? The river that was draining to the RLC was diverted to go and be used for irrigation. And as time moved, there was climate change. What happened? The RLC dried up. The river that was being used for irrigation also dried up. Right now, people are suffering because they wanted to impress everyone. It doesn't matter that way. Then I'll give you the examples of countries which have used capitalism and they're experiencing no problems with climate change. England, 19th to 18th century. USA, Germany, France, Italy. After all, if capitalism has been very successful in projecting itself as engine of productivity and growth, why should it be blamed for climate change, environmental disasters? Climate change is messy, uncooperative, and against climate change. But we have to go against climate change, then capitalism is the only weapon we've got, the only strong weapon we've got to curb capitalism, to curb climate change, sorry. My name is Daisy Chepkurui. Thank you for having me.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Faith Ivy, Loreto High School, Limuru, here to strongly propose the motion that capitalism is deterrent to the fight against climate change. Don't stand here and tell me what your mama told you. So what if Usain Bolt is a capitalist? So what? These people don't care about us. They don't care about our environment. They care about making profits. That is what they care about. On to my statistics. The 21st century has the most temperature records that have been broken since 1980. Multiple studies show that 95% of global warming is due to human activities. This is where the capitalists come in. I'll give an example of Naomi Klein, who wrote a best-selling book that is called This Changes Everything. Critics of Uncooperations and Uncontrolled Capitalism. In her latest best-selling book, This Changes Everything, she says, you can't take on climate change without taking capitalism. There is still time to avoid catastrophic events, but not within the rules of capitalism. We are living in a deregulated capitalism era. These capitalists, they can build their industries wherever they want, but they don't care about us, I repeat again. They care about the profits. They will build their industries wherever they want. The industries will emit fumes like carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide will go to the atmosphere. It will deplete our ozone layer, allowing harmful ultraviolet rays to reach us. These harmful ultraviolet rays will cause skin cancer. But still, they want to go on. Why? Because they think what is good for them is good for us. Let us take an example of the Nairobi River. The river is choking under the weight of garbage emanating from raw sewage and untreated industrial effluents, and this is because of the unregulated capitalism. We should condemn capitalists. They are destroying our environment. All they want to do is get richer and richer every single day. That is what they care about. They do not care about us, how the destruction of the environment is going to affect us as a whole, as a country. These people, they're setting up industries every single place and everywhere. But why? Because they do not care about us, and that I repeat again. They will talk about the scrubbers and the filters that they're fitting in the industries to prevent the emission of the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Let me tell you something. They are inefficient. Everything. Methali, hakuna zuri lisilokuwa na doa. These things, they leak. Some fumes will still go into the atmosphere. They will allow carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. They are inefficient. And I want to stop by saying the superior man understands what is right, but the inferior man understands what sells. Capitalism is inferior because all it cares about is their profits, and we will not be doing right by our environment. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Alarms, bells have been ringing on climate crisis now years, over many years. But humanity has failed to respond. Why? Enoch Samuel strongly opposed the motion from Mpesa Foundation Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about Owino Uhuru village in Mombasa. We have just been told about recycling lead batteries, but let me tell you, no one in this country will ever allow you to come up with an industry without legislation. They who gave them the legislation, the government. Why blame capitalism and not the government for allowing such? You are telling us about economic growth, that there can't be environment and then you have growth. Yes, I agree. But at the same time, there can't be environment and to expect economic growth. What am I trying to mean? For it to be there, for economic growth to be there, that it can help solve these challenges, we must have capitalism. You're telling us they don't care, but I thought you were so keen listening that my opposer said Usain Bolt came up with an electric non-emission vehicle. How does it help? It does not have any difference to our climate. But because I don't have the eternity on this stage, let me start by saying overpopulation is ranking and tanking the planet, not capitalism. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take an example with this building. You cannot expand it as of now by the force of your hand. Yes, I agree. The same thing applies. A study done by biologicaldiversity.org says that with the 300 million population in US, every child born after 2009 will add 9,414 tons of carbon to the environment. Wow, I'm even shaking. But for sure, do we have to sit down and watch? Give capitalism a chance. It will give you the solution. Ladies and gentlemen, having capitalism does not mean legislations, policies do not exist. The problem is not capitalism. It is not hindering anything in the fight. The fight against this climate change will need us to come up with a solution. And what is the solution? It is not the government. It is only someone who can sit down, think, can I innovate something? Yes. An example will be given by Ecosystem Service in Japan, and tell you that the Japanese company that converts carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to useful carbon neutral fuels is a private company. Wow, isn't that solving? I guess it is. But because I had said earlier, I don't have eternity. Let me talk about electric trains later, but not now. Have a thought.
The question to the proposers is, are they saying that the efforts made by capitalists to fight climate change by coming up with environmental friendly solutions is insignificant? The opposers, on the other hand, have been asked, if capitalists are trying to make profits so as to solve a problem that they have created, isn't it better then to just prevent the climate change altogether? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Ladies and gentlemen, the future has crashed into the present, and only those who are willing to look can see that we are headed for a fall. Are you willing to look? Are you even willing to open your eyes? If you are, then act like it. so fast. Your mom teaches you very nice things. Learn from people's mistakes. I think you're doing a very poor job at that. Haven't you seen enough? Wasn't much enough for us to see? The scorching sun, the sweating, and you still do not want to learn from the mistakes that we have made? I simply do not understand you. So a question was asked. Do we think that the efforts that conservatives have made is insignificant? No, it totally is not. My colleague said that calcium oxide has been used to line pipers in industries. And she also added that this very calcium oxide does not absorb all the exhaust gases. Calcium oxide cannot absorb methane gas. So my opposer also said that Germany is facing no problems. I have something to say to you. So on 10th May 2019, during the UN Conference for Climate Change, Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, said that Germany cannot meet the expectations of reducing the exhaust gases by 2020. The same Germany that you claim is going on well, the same Germany that you say is prosperous with its capitalism. During the 2016 Paris Convention, it was discovered that if the gaseous emission rates do not change, then by every century, the world will warm up by 3 degrees more. Do you want what happened in March to repeat itself? Do you want the scorching sun to burn us up? Are we really ready to face this again? We still have time. We can do this. We can change this. It is in our hands. Let us make the change. Capitalism is not the right way to go.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
You look at this beautiful girl, eh? I am a Kenyan, and I am proud that Kenya took the capitalism as a system of economy. Why? My name is Joyce Karemi from Mpesa Foundation Academy. Lynette, why are capitalists creating the problem? First of all, you cannot get the problem before you take the action. It's after taking the action that you'll know this, by the way, is not working. So how can I solve this? And that is why these communities or these capitalistic economies come into conferences like the Conference of Paris to solve some of these problems. Get it right. Capitalists know that there is global warming. That is true. And remember, their aim is to make profits. And if they are to make profits, they have to ensure that the resources are always available. This means that they have to come and solve this climate change or come with ways to prevent pollution. Capitalism creates more opportunities for innovation. As the companies and individuals are constantly working towards innovative ideas. I am a student of chemistry. And if you have gone through book 3, page 123, CO2 is one of the emissions from the industries. But what does these capitalistic countries do? They come with a solution which react calcium hydroxide to form calcium sulfate and water, which are not effective or which are not pollutants. Our friends or our neighbors down here, Tanzania, adopted Ujamaa system, and instead of growing, I can't say they're not making progress, but I can see Kenya and other countries that adopted capitalism as a way of economy are way ahead. When we had the Cold Wars, after the death of Stalin, communism failed because that idea simply couldn't work. Capitalism is working in USA. It's the most developed country. It is a superpower. Unlike those days when USSR was one of those superpowers because they made a wrong decision of the system of economy, they are going down and we don't hear about them anymore. We Forum organization, according to We Forum organization, Germany is a capitalistic country and it has the best recycle facilities. For example, global production. They look beyond the nose, and that is why they come up with ways to solve, these problems. That is why they are recycling these wastes. And finally, they have finances, and if this capitalism have finance, it means they can also be able to regulate the rate of climate change. Audience, look at this. Capitalism is the way. Join me. It's the only way. It's the only way.
Proposition, you have 1 minute for your final statement.
I would totally disappoint my chemistry teacher if I failed to correct you. Carbon and its compounds is in form 2. So fast. Bahati ya mwenzio usilalie mlango wazi. Second, copycats never catch rats. Simply what I'm saying is, if USA is doing it, it does not mean that we can do it. Compare us, Kenyans, to the USA. Do we have the funds to do it? Imagine a gigantic banquet. Hundreds of millions of people come to it. They eat and drink to their heart's content, eating food that is better and more abundant than at the finest tables in the ancient Rome or even in the medieval Europe. Then one day, a man arrives and says that he's holding the bill. But they deny this and say that this is not their bill. For the past 150 years, industrial civilization has been driving on energy-stored fuels, and the bill has come due. Yet we have sat around the same dinner table, denying that it is our bill and denying that it is us who should pay it. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 1 minute for a final statement.
Thank you. It is always good to listen. I was talking about sulfur, not carbon. And if they cannot do it, if USA can do it, why not Kenya? And why not other developing countries that have adopted capitalism? But I want to show you the other side of this thing. We don't have to entirely blame capitalism. What are the other things? We have overpopulation. If there's overpopulation, we need demand and we need to produce more. We also have poor leadership. If we don't have poor leadership, they're not concerned about our climate. We also have ignorance among citizens. And that is why I'm so proud of this lady called Wangare Maathai, of coming up with the Green Belt movement, which saved trees. It is one organization, a private organization, that has helped our country so much. Even right now, I think you can see capitalism is the only way, isn't it?
Loreto, Anatolia, your definitions were okay, and also the citations that you gave that were very current, of course, added a lot of value to your side. Faith, comparing to the previous debate, I feel like this one you brought it more. It was an improvement, so kudos to you. Naserian, you continued with good rebuttals and also giving examples, and the finishing argument at the end, of course, again, added value to your team.
Mpesa, Daisy mentioned some examples as well as you were breaking down the motion for us. Enoch, a good speaker, really passionate also. Joyce, you stood out for me. You really stood out. That was just passionate. You were really convincing. You captured the attention of the audience. You know, you answered the question that was asked. Really nice. All the best to both teams.
All right. We are very happy that we had to really get engaged here on the judges' tables because of the level of research that you guys did. And I think that's very commendable. That means you did justice to this motion, and that tells us that at least you prepared. And so for whichever team takes the day or so, just know that you did your best, okay? And we noted that.
And the numbers tell us who is where. Mpesa Foundation Academy, you earned yourself 71%. Let's give them a round of applause. Chris, what did Loreto have?
With a difference of 0.6, Loreto High School Limuru. The judges awarded you 71.6, making you the winners of this debate.
Congratulations to both teams, for this was a very heated debate. We would like to appreciate all the stakeholders in these debates. Thank you to the schools, the principals, the patrons, and even participating students.
Remember, the debate does not end here because the conversation is always live and active on our social media platforms with the hashtag GDC for SDGs. Until next time, I've been your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperancia Kapanga.